Hello everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to the channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. I'm here to give an update regarding a case that happened in early 2023, and this is the case of Anna Walshe out of Cohasset, Massachusetts. Before I continue, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who is listening using Spotify. Don't forget to follow the podcast there, and you can leave a comment there too. And now, FYI, the podcast on Spotify, what they're doing now is basically dividing every episode into chapters so that it's easier for you to kind of hear the podcast if you just want to get to one thing specifically. And everybody, of course, who's listening using Apple Podcasts, thank you guys so much for listening and also following me on Apple Podcasts. And of course, everybody who's watching the video on YouTube, thank you guys so much for being here. So, this case of Anna Walshe, which was the man that supposedly went missing in the early hours of January 1st, 2023, out of Massachusetts after she was leaving for a work trip to Washington, D.C. And then I'm going to give you a brief review for what I remember. And then the husband, Brian Walshe, was eventually arrested because he had already a case about selling fake paintings. And then they discovered blood in the basement and things like this. And then right now he's awaiting trial, okay? So that's basically what happened with her. There was never any footage. There was really no evidence of her leaving the house that day after they had a dinner party to celebrate the new year. It's very tragically what happened to Anna Walshe. I think one of those cases that I will never forget. I think a working mom who's just working so hard to build a house and get everything ready basically, because she used to work out of Washington D.C. She had a real estate firm, or she worked with a very well-known real estate firm over there, and she was prepping everything. She would commute to Massachusetts, where she had 3 little boys, right, and the husband, and she would commute, usually on the weekends, to spend time with them, right? As she was doing that in Washington D.C., she was prepping a home so that they can eventually move, right? And then this happened, and she's supposedly they say that she was murdered and dismembered, excuse me, and it's very graphic, by the husband Brian Walshe, who's right now awaiting trial. And the big update regarding this case, right, is that Brian Walshe was actually stabbed in jail last week, right? There's a lot going on, a lot of stuff has happened. And you guys know what I'm referring to. I mean, last week the news were there was a lot to cover, and a lot of things probably went under, because of everything that happened. But this update is crazy because Brian Walshe has been awaiting trial. I believe it's going to start soon. And like I said, he was stopped. So let me read to you guys exactly what happened. It says here, Brian Walshe, who is accused of killing his wife, Anna Walshe, and dismembering her body in the Cohasset, Massachusetts home, was assaulted Thursday night at the Norfolk County Jail in Dedham, his lawyer said to the news. He was taken to Boston Hospital to be treated for his injuries and released later that night. The Norfolk County Sheriff's Office said an inmate was assaulted inside one of the housing facilities with a makeshift blunt instrument just before 10 p.m., authorities say. The correctional officers acted immediately to subdue the attacker and give the inmate first aid. It says here, quote unquote, the individual who was assaulted was conscious and alert and taken to Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston for treatment, the sheriff's office said in a statement. He was returned to our facility overnight, and right now they say the assault is under investigation, and the authorities have not released the name of the attacker. So I wonder what happened there, right? Even even that we know that, let's say, that Brian is in jail for, they're saying he's the main suspect of what happened with Anna. like something like this is like, you know, it's not like you're wishing on somebody to do that, right? So it makes you wonder, like, what happened there? What kind of argument? What kind of inmate is he, right? Does he get himself in trouble? Do people know who he is or what he's there for? Because I think this case of Anna Walsh is, I mean, it happened January 1st, 2023, when people are usually basically celebrating the new year, the ending of the previous year. And for something like this to happen, I know it got a lot of news coverage when it happened. And also knowing that her three boys, her three young boys, it's just that's the biggest one of the biggest loss too in the case is that they're now, their mom is gone, the dad is in jail, and they're basically in state custody right now, right? I believe Anna is from I don't know what country she was from, but she really didn't have family here. And she came here, she built her business, she had her marriage, and I mean she married and she got her kids here. So right now the children, I just searched this information before I came here and did this episode. They're basically with DCF, right, with the state custody. So it says here that Brian is scheduled to stand in trial in October. He has pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree murder, misleading a police investigation, obstruction of justice, and improper conveyance of a human body. Now, you know what I remember? Now I remember looking at this case. I think I made the video out of my when I had the studio. The thing with this case, besides everything, right, is that Brian used his children's iPad to do research, right? I always say, when people are accused of doing something, they say, oh no, they haven't done that. Look at what they're searching, right? What they're searching on the internet, because these days, I mean, we're searching for everything, right? We think of something that we want to do or a place that we want to go to. We're always like, let me see what is it exactly. We're always searching. Technology is so accessible to us, right? So what they find out was that Brian was doing, like, I don't even know how many searches on the kid's iPad, how to dispose, body parts. It's so graphic, guys. It's so sad. Because you need to understand, these people were just celebrating New Year's. This man cooked a meal for Anna, the family, and they had a guest there too, celebrating the New Year's. And after the guest left, right, a family friend left like at midnight or something when the year began. Something happened there, right? And it's like, how did you go from that to just doing all of that and then being so nonchalant? This man, I remember also the first view that we got of Brian Walsh was that image of him coming out of the jail, being transported from like the in-house jail to like the main facility or something like this. And when he noticed there were so many cameras there, this man started smiling for the cameras, and I couldn't believe it. I remember saying that was like a slap in the face, right? You say your wife is missing. She went to the airport. She got an Uber or something like this. He said, he doesn't know what happened, and he's like, I'm usually the one here staying with the kids. And then the Google searches started popping up right after they were doing the investigation, and like I said, they found blood evidence in the basement, right? That is so crazy that this man was trying to, I know he's gonna stand trial, I get that, but he thought he was just gonna, oh yeah, I'm gonna use my children's iPad, nobody's gonna know, right? And I think the biggest surprise for him was to know that there were so many cameras out there, right? He did not expect it. Oh yeah, well, you're just gonna, you get upset. You go from having dinner, celebrating, get upset, and do that to your wife and the mother of your kids, and the world is just gonna let you be, right? Like nobody's gonna care. That's crazy. But this is the update of what happened to him. They're not releasing the name of the person who stabbed him. Like I said, he's gonna stand trial next month, so that's coming up in 2 weeks, right? So that should be a case to keep an eye out. So they're saying, he's a high-profile inmate. We all know it. Like I said, this case got a lot of coverage. It was just probably one of the first cases of 2023. Let me see what they say here. The person who is responsible for the attack will be put into segregation and charged. As far as the victim goes, I'm sure he will be reassessing whatever security level they had at him. Walshe case has garnered national interest and saying that other inmates will know what he's accused of, right? So I guess they do know who he is over there. They also have access to television, it says here, and of course the iPads, right? Or iPads, right? And so forth. They will likely know that his case was about, and there are too many secrets among the inmates in prison, right? Because I'm sure they have a lot of time to speak about stuff. So Anna Walshe was last seen in early morning of January 1st, 2023. The couple hosted a friend for dinner on New Year's Eve. And I remember, I think I said this, I think some news she gave to Brian that night, right? It's the beginning of the year. It's a new start. She was prepping the house to bring her children with her, right, to Washington. And I don't know if Brian was going to, but I know he was dealing with a case about that painting that he sold that was fake, and he couldn't leave the house, right? He was in house arrest. So some news, she probably said, I'm gonna go to Washington with the children, and then when you're done with your legal stuff, you come. He obviously was not in agreement with that. And I think the friend being there with them for New Year's Eve, I believe, I think I said this when I did the video 2 years ago, I believe it's because she was probably, trying to get him in a good mood because of what she was going to ask him, of what she was going to say. And, your family knows you, people know how you react to things that you're probably talking about. So maybe she thought, let's have a friend over and, change the mood a little bit, have a good dinner, this and that. And then the news broke out, and then Brian probably lost it, right? Well, I know the trial is going to happen, but there's so much evidence that the Google searches that this man did were crazy, right? Why would he be searching that and acting like he didn't know where she was, right? So let me continue saying. He said, she left at 4 or 6 in the morning, took an Uber, and so she can go to Washington for a work emergency. And I remember they also called the office where she works in DC, and they're like, there is no emergency here. So, wow. Like I said, it's very sad with the children having to live like this. We just pray for the children and the family. Also, and I know for some people it might sound weird, but Brian was the only child, and he was the caretaker for his mom too. So another person who is gonna rely on the help of other people, right? So we pray for her too. At the end of the day, the one responsible for what happened here is him. The one responsible for his action is him. So we'll see what happens. Probably once the trial begins. I'll probably do another video. Like I said, one of those cases that you would never forget. Also, one more thing. This case, they also caught him buying stuff at Home Depot, spending like $200 of cleaning supply at Home Depot, like the day after New Year's on 2023. So yeah, that trial is gonna. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.